morning, everybody. Thank you so much for all coming. Great to be here at the Science Museum. Do have a seat, guys. I have with me Gary and Crayon. Both have been deeply involved in the development of OxygenOS 13. I think the first topic we want to talk about is the always on display, and the software optimizations that you've done.
The AI system booster is the self-development memory management system. We optimize the algorithm based on your daily usage, so we can make sure the foreground app and system can acquire enough memory for that. So you can feel the system become more smoother even in the heavy loading. When you switch the app, and the app startup will also increase 10%.
So just to dig into that a little bit more, and we've got the slide up here showing some of the performance stats. Can you explain a bit more how it works? So let's say, I get up, I have a usual day, maybe I like to do a bit of gaming in the morning or something like that. Is the phone going to learn my behaviors?
Yeah, something like that. As I said, we will monitor your daily usage. When you wake up, you usually listen to music, you playing games. So when we detect that you have a pattern for that, we will allocate an amount of the memory for your foreground app. So we will silence the most of the background activity to make sure you can get the best experience for that. So
for gaming, it would prioritize memory allocation, but it would be able to predict that a little bit based on your behaviors.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think other things. Overall, and I think one of the other things with the platform is kind of the fluency, right? So the switching of apps and those sorts of things. If there's memory allocated, it will improve it.
Yes. Foreground app and system, transition.
So this is kind of like a bit of, people won't necessarily visually see this, but it's quite a kind of powerful feature that improves performance. So hopefully they'll feel it's a faster experience. I think if I look at all of your kind of marketing material over the years, there's been this big focus on kind of purposeful design. That's been a big story for OnePlus. It's kind of your DNA. But can you talk about what aquamorphic design means and what it's going to look like on the experience?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So I know when everyone see the aquamorphic, you might be, what's this? Where did it come from? So because maybe we can talk about our mission first. Because I think starting day one with OnePlus, our design philosophy is always want to express the burdenless design philosophy or the user experience. And there are a couple of principles under the burdenless philosophy. I think the first one is intentional adaptation. The second one is camp vitality. And the third one is imperceptible nourishment. So that's kind of like three principle under the burdenless design. I can talk about the more. Yeah, so the first one, intentional adaptation. So you can think about the round shape is the container. So it's something like the water, right? Water, if you pour the water into the different container, you will adapt it. So that's also the same philosophy. And also this kind of element is kind of have a rounded shape across the icon, the widget, or over the OS design. And the second is camp vitality. So this one you will see because we anticipate the user's need. We know what kind of the product you right now, and then we give you more kind of smart suggestion. And the third one is imperceptible nourishment. So we kind of mimic the life from the nature. We want to give the user experience more kind of day to night. So that's kind of like three principles under the burdenless design.
So on the first one, the big story is more kind of softening the icons. Have you changed any of the design detail as well, or is it largely consistent?
So even from the kind of consistent design, we did a lot of effort on that because before maybe there are some inconsistent in our OS, right. But we want to use aquamorphic design to kind of reintroduce all of our design philosophy and then also make our design to be more consistent. So you see it's more kind of rounded shape and or some kind of lighting effect to reflect at least kind of three pillars.
And the middle one, so that's that's kind of an AI piece where it shows apps you use a lot, is it, on the Calm Vitality next to the clock? That would be those. And then just explain the final one. So you've got the clock there. Is it about the simplicity? Is that why you've kind of highlighted that?
Yeah, so this is like imperceptible nourishment because it's more like a subtle user experience. Maybe before, like for example, if we want to give it more vibrant or more energetic experience, we just put a red here, put a blue here. But what's the meaning of imperceptible? Believe me, it's so hard for me to pronounce. Our research team did a lot of effort on that. So to be more straightforward, it's more kind of subtle because we want like, hey, we all know like form follows function or form follows kind of experience, right? So this is kind of, we have a more lighting effect, maybe just kind of remind the user this is the daytime, this is the nighttime. So we have a lighting effect and provide you very kind of subtle visual reference on our design part.
I think we've got some more examples if we go on to the next slide. So this, do you want to talk about the design decisions you made to go from 12 to 13 and why you feel 13 talks about this new philosophy?
Yeah, so this is definitely one of the examples. We have a lot of examples about it. So if you see this is 12 and it's 13, so for the 12, you will see this is high contrast. So user need to have more time to adapt it. But this is like the 13. We want to make it more immersive or the kind of subtle experience. So when they see this, they will know, oh, the highlight color is red, green, and then they can, I want to pick up the phone, I want to reject the phone, and even the background is very immersive. And also from this kind of color kind of mimic the nature of the light. This is another example, like if you see this, sorry about the projection, but if you see there's some kind of tapping zone or background behind the number. So the 12, there's no kind of the tapping zone, but for the 13, this is more kind of what I mean, more kind of the subtle experience or give the user more confidence. When they tap this, they just tap it instead of like, hey, I have some hesitation to tap it. So we have a lot of tuning about this experience.
13.1 is just around the corner. So can you give us any teasers on what's going to be in 13.1?
Yeah, sure. So the 13.1 will release around the first half of 2023. So the major improvements will be privacy, multimedia, and performance tuning. That will be important features. Yeah.
And so that will be what, the 2022 flagships? Is that where you're going to start with that update?
Yeah.
Okay, so that will be the Pro and T.
Yeah, around
models.
the Q1 or Q2. Yeah.
Okay, and then I also see on the slide, we probably shouldn't get ahead of ourselves, but Oxygen 14 Crayon. Can you give us any clues in terms of where you're going? Will it be quite a natural evolution of the design you've talked about already?
Yeah, so as I just talked about that, I am from like the 12 is resilience and the 13 aquamorphic design. So what's the next generation of the OS? We want to bring more vitality or more energy and let user know, hey, I am ready to back to our normal life. So from the design perspective, how we can help user to have this kind of the stage. Yeah.
So will that, in your mind, when you're thinking about that with the design team, so we're kind of going, it sounds like you've almost taken your inspiration from the kind of what's going on in the world. So you kind of feel like we're coming out of the pandemic, we need to be calm, we need cleaner, but maybe 14 you might start dialing it up just a little bit, just as people get out more and travel more and those sorts of things. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I know you can't talk about it too much, but I've got to push, so yeah.
Yeah, thankful for the pushing. Yeah, but like we all know, like design is to solve the problem. So that's why when we kind of plan the next generation of OS, we always not just definitely the user feedback is our priority or the user's insight, and also what's going on in the society right now. And also our kind of regional market. So we will compile everything, and then after that we will have our own design philosophy. Yeah.
Right, here's another good question for you, because I'm kind of intrigued by this. You're using Android, you've got a deep partnership with Google. They have a pretty good stock Android experience. In fact, some other phone makers are pretty happy just to take the stock Android. Why do you think it's worth investing to create an OS on top of that? Because obviously it's a big investment for you guys. It takes a lot of work. You have to do all the updates. What do you believe that OxygenOS 13 adds to the stock Android experience?
Okay, so I think that first of all, we have many product philosophy pretty aligned with the stock Android, like a straightforward experience, simple and clear UI, and secure and reliable. So that is totally aligned. So I would say that in the very first 2 years of OnePlus, our markets, mainly on China and part of Europe. But after that, our markets keep increasing. In India, we have different segments. We have a middle range segment. We have a premium segment. In Europe, most of the country you can see OnePlus in Europe, okay, and North America. So we collecting most of the user feedback during this time, because we believe the way to do the best product to listen to the user. We always believe that. Okay, so we have a better understanding for our user. So I think for the stock Android, that would be the best choice for if you have a very simple product, simple market. That would be great. Okay, so actually right now we have many cooperation with Google in almost in every aspect, like a product, design, marketing, and technical, of course. So we are quite close than before. So Google is the very important partner for us. Okay, so in short, I would say that the stock Android or Android is always our backbone. We share most of technology, UI framework, system framework, but we have to plus the user's need, our insight from markets, and the marketing strategy, so become the final product. So it is totally not true we abandon Android or something. That.
Okay, so I think we've got one final thing, which is certainly at my research at CCS Insight, we do a lot of end user research, and one of the things we found is people are keeping their phones longer. And I think you can intersect that quite well with, if there's one thing as an industry we can do, if we could get people to keep their phones for longer, that on its own, forget the recycled aluminium and all the other stuff people are doing. If you keep your phone 6 or 12 months longer, that's fantastic for the environment. And I think, I don't think you're giving big details, but I believe today there is a bit of news in terms of your ongoing software support on the Oxygen platform. Is that right?
So as you know, we are listening. We know people want your phone for a longer term. People don't want a phone without a software update. So we announced today our software maintenance policy upgrade, 4 years major Android update plus 5 years security update. Yeah, in selected devices.
Very good. So just to understand this, so on the, we probably don't, you probably can't tell us what the selected devices are, but let me guess. I'm assuming that will be the flagships from this year, but that's me saying that, not you. On these devices going forward, so it means now it's not just security patches anymore. This is going to be, is that a commitment to 4 Android releases within, if they come within that period, which typically Google does one every year, and then the security patches. So do you think this will help with things like the kind of ongoing value of the device as well? Because obviously it helps the users, but is that a key thing as well?
Yeah. So we know people care about that, and I have to say that is not easy because that relate to a lot of engineering stuff we need to resolve. We have a chipset problem, we have a cost problem, so we need to balance for that. But eventually we always back to the user's need. I think that is a right decision.
So obviously there's a lot of similarities between ColorOS and OxygenOS.
Right.
And I was just wondering, what is the plan for differentiating OxygenOS from ColorOS going forward? Because currently they are quite similar. And I mean, I'm a fan of both, but I mean, you look at them side by side and they do look quite the same.
Okay, before I talk about product, I need to talk about team. Because in the software, team almost equal the final product. Because we don't have the cost issue, we don't have the factory issue, right? I think the OS 13 is the start point. It's not just the end, or it's merging to the end. It's just start point. The start point is the two teams have a very good teamwork. We share the same product philosophy. We share the same design philosophy. And we share most of the technology architecture. Okay, so that's the same part. But different part is as I said, that that is the product and market fit, right? We always looking for that. So from OxygenOS, they have put a lot of more effort on performance tuning and maybe apply new technology for that compared to ColorOS.
Roberto from Italy, I have a quick question about the coherence of the design. You show us a new design language, but the design language looks coherent between OnePlus apps. How does it match with the outside world? Because apps from Google Play has different icon, has different style and different design. They follow the Google design languages.
Yep. So this is a great question. So we all know because when users jump from maybe when you are using Gmail and also you are using our note or calculator, something like this. So definitely there are some get about it. But again, why we want to the Aquamovie design? Because Google have more broad. Their design philosophy is material design. They agree on the design philosophy, and they also kind of come from the nature stuff. And our Aquamovie design, we want to especially serve the users after the pandemic, how we can provide more calm and soothing experience. So I would say that's the difference. But as Aquamovie design is just kind of the phase one. So after the user feedback or even from your feedback, we iterate our platform. And this is kind of co-creation platform. If users think about, there are some gap between the Android product and our own product, definitely we will think about how we can minimize the gap when they use different stuff. But again, we are based on Android. Android is still our foundation, and we always got the inspiration. This is their navigation, this is the experience, how we bring this into our system. But at the same time, we want to have our own design philosophy to serve our users.